Hi there, this is Anna O'Brien, intuitive healer, teacher, and author. And I'm getting ready to release my second book called Everyone is Psychic this spring. So I'm super excited about that. And I'm also getting ready to offer a 6-month intuitive training program over Zoom. And so as I am announcing these things, I've been getting some questions, and I wanted to answer some of the questions I've been getting, not only at this time, but also just over the years of doing this work. I get similar questions. So I wanted to share some thoughts and give you some of these, questions and my answers. So is it safe to open up my psychic abilities? That's one I get a lot. So sorry to let you know, but they're already open. Okay. You may know this, but if you're human, you're psychic. And we're living in a world of energy. Everything is made of energy. And the thing that I consider to be not so safe is not knowing how to work with that. So with that said, people ask me this question oftentimes because they have either fears or they've had negative experiences or both. Sometimes it's afraid of what you're going to see, or you don't want to feel responsible for what you see. Sometimes you're afraid to know certain things. Sometimes we've had past lives where we've maybe been psychic or intuitive and we've been persecuted in some way or another. Sometimes we've been killed for it, so it's like, whoa. All those are past, but that can come up, right? And sometimes we've just had a bad experience. Like we've had a reading from somebody that we didn't like, or it didn't feel really clean and clear with the energy. So we're like, I don't know about that. I cover all of this in my teachings, but what I feel is less safe, or the thing that most of us need to remember is we're already psychic anyway. So if we don't know how to work with that, we're living with them open all the time, and we're living with the consequences of that or the result of that. So we will pull in sometimes energy that's not so good for us if we don't know how to discern or set an intention, or if we don't want to look at the fact that that's already happening. So I would rather know. I'm like that in general. I would rather know the truth, right? And I would rather be able to work with it. And it can be so empowering to learn to work with it. And it's not that hard. It's just that most of us were never taught in schools or by our parents. And the world is changing, thankfully. And this is why we're not persecuted these days, is like things are opening up. And it's exciting for me doing this work because more and more people are interested in this. So yes, it can be safe. You just have to know how to do it and how to work with it. And I would say almost everyone could use even a little basic energy management class or information, because we're already doing it. All right, so some quick tips for safely opening up your psychic abilities. The number one psychic protection that you're ever going to have is your presence. So if you're home in your body, and if you are filled up with yourself, and kind of, well, this goes into the next thing, but kind of what you're available for, what you're not available for, and you're here, you're not going to pick up the stuff that's not good for you. So that's the number one thing. That's easier said than done. A lot of times because of trauma, or because our lives are stressful or overwhelming, or we don't sleep enough or whatever, we're not all the way present. So I teach you how to find ways to come back to your body, to fill yourself up, and also to clear energy that's not yours. The second tip for safely opening up your psychic abilities is your intention or your discernment. So no, you don't have to listen to every voice you hear. Every voice you hear in your head or every picture you see is not necessarily for you. So the world of the psychic world is not necessarily the same as the spiritual world. You can be spiritual and not be really interested in being psychic. In fact, most spiritual traditions didn't teach psychic abilities until the end, because it was sort of like a ethics and also a readiness thing. Like you need to be grounded first. Again, the world is changing, so I weave that all in. But that's a thing. You have to have discernment. Otherwise, it's less safe or less helpful, I would say. So when I was in my 20s, before I started taking classes, I was hearing my main psychic, not my main, but my strongest psychic sense is hearing clairaudience or telepathy, hearing thoughts from others, and also hearing spirit guides. And so I would go to a coffee shop when I woke up, and I would get a latte and a pastry, and I would just write. And it was nonsense, but I was channeling. And I look back like, what was I doing? But I was like interested in it because there's a psychic phenomena happening, right? And so I learned there's more to it than that. And if I want it to be helpful, I need to decide who am I writing to, or who am I listening to, and why. And once you decide that, the riffraff stays away because you're not opening to that. Okay, So, third tip on how to safely open up your psychic abilities is to raise your vibration. So, it's important. Again, this goes along with what are you available for. If you're in a positive mindset, if you're feeling good, if you're doing self care, you're not going to probably be interested or even attract some of the other vibrations that aren't so good or helpful because you have a clear intention. And so that's really fun. So, the more you raise your vibration, the more you get angels and really helpful energies and people in your life too, and opportunities, by the way. All right, so next question. Is there a way to turn on your abilities whenever you want and to interpret these abilities more clearly? Yes, absolutely. So I can teach specific techniques for opening up and turning on any of your psychic senses. So we have from the crown down to the second chakra, we have different abilities from knowingness or claircognizance, just knowing something off the top of your head, to seeing, clairvoyance, being able to see with your third eye. That's getting pictures about energy, getting energetic pictures, mental image pictures about something going on. Clear sentience is in your second chakra. That's being able to feel something in your body or on an emotional level. So I can teach you ways to turn these on and off. Not only turning them on, but I definitely recommend learning to turn them off. And I can also teach you how to clear them out. So there's ways. So telepathy is my favorite one. My students will say, oh my God, that was so amazing, to clear the telepathic channel. So that's where you're sending and receiving thoughts between you and others. Most of us do that all the time. And when you can clear it, when you learn a guided meditation and practice to clear it, it's like clearing your psychic voicemail. But even better, it's like your head clears. Like, whoa, I didn't know my head was a little fuzzy until we did that. So it's nice to have your own energy in your own body and in your own head, and not just in your thinking mind, but just to be able to have a clear space for your consciousness. So we get into all that. So as you can see, this is about more than being psychic. I hope you get that. Next question. I get intuitive guidance. I don't always trust myself. So how do I find my confidence, and how do I really find the way to trust my insights so that I can make my daily life better? So the main key to that is your practice. You have to practice. Again, most of us weren't taught. We weren't taught that this is real. And then we weren't also taught how to practice it and get feedback. If we never have the opportunity to do that, how do we know if we're right? So I had these two guys in class once. I was teaching them how to do a reading, and they were sitting face to face, and the assignment was for one person to say a name that the other person didn't know. And the person who stated the name was not to give the other person any other information about who this was. And so the person who was doing the reading closed their eyes, they heard the name, and I said, picture a rose that represents that person. And so these two guys did it, and the one guy was like, I don't see a rose, I don't see anything. And I was like, that's okay, just whatever you see, this is just a class, like it doesn't matter, just say what you see. And he's like, well, I see this Hawaiian shirt, and he described a specific car. He was also seeing this car. The other guy's jaw dropped open because that was the name he gave was his dad. He said, that was my dad, and he's going to Hawaii tomorrow, and that's the car he drives. So who would have known unless they practiced? So we have to just go ahead and practice in a safe space, so I like the classes that I teach because everyone's open and you get to practice with each other, and everyone gets to be in kindergarten and there's no expectations. And people are like, wow. And at the beginning, they're like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. But by the end, I can't get people to shut up. And I'm sorry. They're just so, they get so excited because they start to see more and more and more. So I have to kind of say, okay, keep to the time and next person. And it's really, really exciting. So you can learn a lot. I recommend just in your daily life, just start small. If you want to practice turning on your intuition, practice figuring out where you're going to find a parking space. Practice asking, what am I going to eat? What's the best food for me off this menu? And trust yourself and then see what happens. And I recommend writing it down. Get a journal, write down what your impressions were, what your psychic hit was, and then what happened. Did it work? Did it not work? If you have dreams, a lot of us get information in our dreams. So write down what you dreamed about, and then write down, did that come to pass, or did that actually turn into something that was valid in life, or did that just feel like nonsense? Again, there are, psychic realms that are not really helpful. But again, the more you put your intention out there and the more you practice, I think you'll find that it's helpful and that you'll start to build your confidence. Practice with people who are open. And also this is who are you going to tell, right? You don't want to tell somebody who's judging you, who thinks you're crazy for being interested in this. You probably maybe don't want to tell your family or people that know you really, really well unless you feel very open about this stuff, because sometimes people have preconceived ideas about us, or if they have their own judgments or resistance or fears, they won't be the best people. So if you can practice with people that are really open, that you feel happy and open to share with, not people who doubt you, not people who are going to test you, like what's my dead uncle's favorite food? Like that's the last thing you need. That's not helpful. So we'll do this in the intuitive training program where we practice with each other, and it's super fun. The students get to practice with each other. Okay, so about the course, about this intuitive training program, I'm getting a question, is this an introductory course? So yes and no. This is definitely something that if you've never meditated before, if you don't have a spiritual background, you're absolutely welcome. I will teach you from the ground up how to do this, how to start to tap into your intuitive abilities and use them. And I'll give you a solid foundation for doing that. So most people who call themselves psychics or healers have never had that kind of training. They just have a gift. They just hear voices or they see things, and then one day they start charging money and they offer it. You know, some do, some don't, but I find I've done a lot of these mind, body, spirit expos and been in psychic communities where people didn't have a lot of training. They just had a gift. So that's a beautiful thing. But it can be taxing on the person offering the readings or healings, because you're not quite sure how to manage it, especially once you take it to the next level. So I did 10 years of training. I actually didn't start out wanting to do this professionally. I would say for the first 5 years of my training, I did not consider this to be a career path. That took a little while to discover, but I did it because I liked it and it helped me in my life. I do not regret having 10 years of training. It's one of the best things that I've done for myself. And who would have thought, it's not something the high school guidance counselor would have recommended for me, even though I was already studying this stuff. So I'm super grateful. But if you're already practicing as a healer in some capacity, or if you already know you're intuitive, I still highly recommend the training, because I've had people who have done classes with me for a decade or more that still do this 6-month foundation course. Why? Because every time you come to a meditation, it's new. You're new. You're always evolving. So you're not the same person that you were a year ago or 10 years ago. And even if you already know these techniques, you're going to meet yourself fresh every day, I hope. And you're going to meet people in the room, and you're always evolving. So people say that it's very, very beneficial and continues to remind them and keeps them on track as well with what they know. I also love business, so I enjoy helping intuitives and healers set up their businesses in a professional way. That's not something that's part of the course per se, but it is part of who I am. So I bring this sense of groundedness, and if you have questions about that, or if that's something you're interested in, you can bring them and I'll answer them. And whatever your questions are, whether it's about business or about your love life or your money, or what happens when you have a dream like this, there's a lot of room in the course for you to ask your personal questions and get answers. So I also offer intuitive graduate programs. So if that's something you're interested, if you're like, okay, I want to do more than 6 months, I'm really into this and I want to get to some more advanced stuff, I do offer that. I offer that when I have enough graduates of these 6-month programs, and the prerequisite is the 6-month program. So in the more advanced trainings, I teach energy healing, more manifesting. I teach mediumship and how to work with your mediumship, and I have a unique way that I approach that. So among other topics. So if that's something you're interested in, 6 months is a foundation. So why should you do this? What if you don't want to be a professional intuitive? Why would you want this type of training? So I find that when people have confidence in their inner voice, it'll affect everything in your life. So you can imagine, if you trust yourself and if you know how to tap into your own answers, you can more easily manifest your financial abundance, your fulfilling relationships, the right career choices, and whatever you're looking for. Another thing it'll help you with is if you're at a crossroads in life, or if you're in a place of confusion, intuition will help you to stay strong, and it'll help you see your opportunities, make the most of your opportunities, and say no to the things that aren't for you. Great benefit is that you don't need so much counseling or healing. Of course, that's still helpful. And, I seek out help. I know most people who are professionally doing this, they still get help. but you don't need it nearly as much if you have your own way to find your own center and to get some of your own answers and to clear your own, maybe not your own, you clear the stuff that's stressing you out. So by not needing so much counseling or external help, it saves you money, it saves you time, it saves you stress. You'll be able to discern with your intuitive training, you'll be able to discern which emotions, thoughts, and desires are actually yours. And you'd be surprised most of what most of us feel and think is not even ours. That was my biggest takeaway in my first year of training. Is like, whoa, all this stuff I've been processing that I thought was me, most of it's not even me. And so I got my life back once I did this training. So you'll discover which belong to others and then how to clear the energy that's not yours and how to work with the energy that is yours. So you can imagine how much stress that'll save you, how much time that'll save you, could save you money, etc. So you'll know when to turn intuition on and off. So that can really reduce your overwhelm. So you just handle what's yours. You don't have to handle everything else all the time. You'll discover how to discern fear or hope from true intuition. So a lot of times people ask me, well, how do I know if this is just my fear, if this is what I want to hear or believe, or if this is actually true? So we'll get into that. And then finally, you'll learn fun exercises to help you read others with compassion and integrity. So this is, again, not only if you want to do this professionally, but even if you want to read people in your life. So there's so many times where that would be useful. Let's say you're interviewing for a new job or you're looking to hire somebody. You're looking to maybe move into a new place, and is this a good roommate? Or you're going on a date, and is this somebody that I really want to get involved with? So there's so many reasons in life where you'd want to read another person, even somebody you know already. What's going on with this person? Let me tap in. So you can do it. You can do it for yourself, or you can do it because people ask you to, whether they're friends or whether you do it professionally. And I teach you how to do it in a grounded way with your ethics and integrity so that everybody feels good in the process. All right, so that's what I have for you. I just want to let you know, if this is of interest to you, to check out the intuitive training. You can go to anneobrienliving.com/intuition, or if you just go to anneobrienliving.com, you click on intuitive training, and the program starts 2/22/22. It's on Zoom, so you can be anywhere in the world. If you miss a class, I record the audio and I send it to you after the fact, along with a written summary. And what else? There's an early bird. So if you register by the 9th, so that's this Wednesday, you will receive a 30-minute bonus session. So an intuitive reading and healing from me, 30 minutes as my gift to you for signing up early. So let me know if you have any questions. You can message me through the website, and I don't really check the comments or messages on social media. So if you message me there, it might go into cyberspace, but go on to anneobrienliving.com, send me a message through the contact form, and I'd be happy to answer your questions, maybe set up a time to talk with you if this is of interest. So many blessings. Have a beautiful day, and thank you so much for watching my video, and happy day. Okay, bye.